Welcome back. In the first step, we will set up a simple project for JDBC. So let's get started. As usual, we would go to start.spring.io. That's the best place to set up your project. I'll choose Maven, Java, and I would use Spring Boot 2.0.0.0 M3. If you have a later version of 2.0.0, go ahead and use that. For now, the latest one is M3. So that's pretty cool. Group ID I would be using is com in 28 minutes JDBC, or I would call this database. Com in 28 minutes database is good, and I would call this database demo. As far as the dependencies are concerned, the dependencies we would be using are starting with JDBC. So we are trying to learn JDBC, so that's what I would want to add. And the other thing I would want to learn is JPA. So after JDBC, we would go into JPA. We'll develop the application with JDBC first, and then we'll also use JPA to develop the same application. So we need JPA, and we are going to use an in-memory database called H2. H2 is an in-memory database. That basically means for using H2, you don't really need to set up anything. It's a very easy database to use. If you are interested to migrate to something like MySQL, we'll discuss that a little later. For now, let's focus on H2 as the in-memory database. Other than that, we would want to look at H2 in something called a web console. So H2 offers a client, and we can use a web console to look at the data which is present in H2. So I would add in web. So the dependencies which we are adding in are JDBC, JPA, H2, and web. Make sure that you have all these 4 dependencies added in. The other important things are to use the latest version of Spring Boot, and make sure that you're using Maven project with Java, and the group ID com in 28 minutes database, and the artifact ID database demo. You can click generate project. This would download a zip file. As usual, extract this zip file to some folder on your local machine, and let's import that into Eclipse. Now I can import the Maven project from the folder where we extracted the zip file to by using file, import existing Maven projects. Just type in existing and you would see existing Maven projects in here. Next, and the directory where I copied it to is 04 Spring JDBC to JPA. That's the directory where I copied it to. You can put the path of the folder where you have your zip file and zip to, or you can use the browse button to navigate to that folder. Now let's go ahead and say finish. This might take a little while if this is the first time you are doing something with Maven. If this is the first time you are actually importing a Spring Boot project with Maven, or if this is the first time you're using that specific version of Spring Boot. At the end of the import, you should see a simple thing like this. So you'd see a database demo application, which is a Spring Boot application, which will help us to launch all the stuff we will write. And you should see a application.properties, which we can configure. This is Spring Boot application.properties, and you would have a source test Java. And other than that, you would see in the Maven dependencies that there are a lot of stuff which are coming in because we have selected a lot of starters. So if I open up the pom.xml, you would see that the group ID is in 28 minutes database. The artifact ID is database demo. Where are they coming from? This is what we configured in here, right? Com in 28 minutes database demo. That's where they are coming in from. Other than that, you'd see that the version which we are using is 2.00 M3. That's coming from here. And the dependencies which we have added in are JPA, JDBC, web, and H2. That's pretty cool, isn't it? What we'll do before we end this step is run the database demo application. So right click, run as Java application. This would launch up a simple web application. We did not really write anything yet, but I'm just trying to make sure that everything is working fine. So let's run that and see that everything is set up and working fine. This might take a little while because it searches through all the files for main classes. I have no idea why it does that. Let's wait for a little while, wait for it to complete the whole indexing stuff, and you would see that it would launch that as a Java application very soon. Finally, it's launching up, and you would see that the Spring Boot has launched up. It has taken about 10 seconds, not bad. And you'd see that Tomcat is now started on 8080. Tomcat is the default embedded server with Spring Boot. If you want to kill this application, you can just click this red button in here. So this would kill the application. This is a web application, so you should need to start and stop it by killing the kill button. So in this step, we set up a simple application. We did not really do anything fancy yet. All that we did was we went to Spring Initializer, we chose JDBC, JPA, H2, and Web as the dependencies. We were able to create a simple project, imported it into Eclipse, we ran it as a Java application, and we saw that the application was launched up in Tomcat. Until the next step, bye-bye.